Beautiful day out here.
Hope you have enjoyed this program.
Definitely gotta get away from the fire a little bit. Hey, bud. Right here. Big old rock there, but I'll just come back this way. Small door. This tent's really neat. All the corners are color coordinated. That way just blue goes to blue. Cinch it down a little bit. Gunner, stay down here, pup. Stay down here. Good boy. Really enjoy this campsite here. Got fresh water running right below us. We're right at the top of a mountain, so I'm not worried about any kind of bugs in the water or anything, any kind of bacteria. This is probably the cleaner than your purified water you get out of your stores, so. Alright, come on, center up. Alright guys, we got step one done, which is shelter. The most important thing. Now, because I didn't go camping too long ago, my tent's still a little wet. So, I need to figure out which way I want to turn it. I actually think I want to pick it up and spin it to where I can look at the fire like that. We'll have a nice covered area up front. Hey, buddy. Alright. Alright, we're up in Barnardsville here, and Gunner and I are gonna go for a little wood hike. That's what I call it. Go searching for a little wood. Got a little an electric steel. This thing works so well for all that I need it for. And somebody's really cleared it out around here. Some dumbass built a fire there. That's a good dead log right there. See if we can't. That won't be too hard to access either, actually. Let's wait till Mom gets here. We'll pull that down with the winch. I want to show her the winch working. So, see if we can't find any wood a little easier. There's some that are dead. Laying around, leaning up against stuff is kind of what you want. You don't want anything really laying on the ground. It's been raining here for the past 2 to 3 days, so anything touching the ground is going to be pretty wet. We're going to need everything, small stuff and big, so I'm going to set you down here. And I'm going to go on this mountain and see if I see a couple of little things right here I can grab that are up and off of the ground a little bit. Set you down here. I think that should get you a decent shot of me. Let's do it. Connor. Stay with me. Stay with me, Connor. got a little bit of wood. We gotta get a lot. I want a fire tonight. Especially my mom's coming up here for a little bit. Get to see her. I'd love for her to hang out for a little bit. So anyway. Alright, so we're up here camping. My dumbass forgot my sleeping bag for tonight, and my beautiful mom, Kim, thank you, she brought it for me. So now Gunner and I will be warm. Thanks, Mom.
You're welcome.
Mom to the rescue.
Yep.
Alright, let's make our way down to the creek. Beautiful little creek here. Gunner, what are you doing, bud? It's cold. Goodness. Hey, get away from there. Come on. Alright, let's go, bud. We're refreshed. And time to go get some more wood. Watch out, bud. Watch out, buddy. Get back. Get in there. This place gets camped a lot. The wood, all the easy wood is been taken. Please don't take my wood. Please don't take the wood, little birdie. Little birdie. Come down, bud. Watch out. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Yes. One stick. One stick. Ready? Yeah. Good boy. Good boy. All right, little buddy. Yeah. Let's make our way back to camp. We got a log. It's the first trip. So, this road is a public road. We're in the national forest. There are some people up the road going on a little hike, but it's alright. I got the only campsite on this road. And this campsite is sweet. Tell you what, I get migraines pretty easily, and Excedrin keeps that migraine from happening, so I'm gonna have to take an Excedrin. Be back with you.
Easy. Stop using spreadsheets and join more than 200,000 small businesses who rely on confidential coverage, fast scheduling, and controlling labor costs. Start your 14-day free trial today at wheniwork.com.
From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. You've heard of Elf on the Shelf? Get your window ready for Bill on the Sill. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your host, who wanted to have children just so he could explain to them, too, that no, Santa just doesn't visit certain families. It's Peter Sakel.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have made it to the end of another year, our 25th year of doing this show. And over those years, yes, I know. I'm just as stunned as you are. But over all those those years, we have noticed something that always seems to happen at this time of year. We all express relief that the past year is over and hope the next one will be better. Damn it, one of these years will be right. Until then, we'll remember the past year in the best possible light by focusing on some of our favorite moments from this show, like the time we talked to a man who made it big in the 1980s playing one character and then did it again in the 2020s by playing the same character.
Here begins his conversation with Ralph Macchio with a confession.
Well, I want you to know, in case you were bothered by people coming up to you and just immediately bring up Karate Kid,
Hey,
I had not
get back over here.
seen the movie until this week. Really. So if I run into you, I'd be like, oh my God, it's you from Crossroads. So,
There you go.
there you go. You know.
Yeah, no, listen, audible gasp from the
I know, I was the last one in captivity, and now there's no more people who've
How
never
did you not see the Karate Kid?
I don't know.
Did you not go to the VHS rental store, pick it out, watch it, be kind and rewind, return it so someone else would be blessed with this film?
Well, here's the thing. And I think Ralph will know what I'm talking about. So I missed it. I must have been busy the night it was out.
Gunner, get away from the road.
And by the time I was like, oh, I should see that movie, it had become so popular and suffused popular culture that I felt I had seen it.
the pop culture of it all became like, you know, your snapshot into like, it's like when you see a trailer to a movie and such a great trailer, and then you hear from someone about it, like one or two more things, you're like, I've seen the trailer, that has the best jokes, this guy just said, this guy wins at the end. I don't really get this.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I saw the movie, I was so surprised. It's more than 30 seconds long. Actually, my biggest surprise in the movie was Pat Morita, the wonderful actor who plays Mr. Miyagi, was when you made the movie 6 years younger than I am now, which is a little terrifying.
I know. Believe me, there are memes of that. Worse for me than you.
Again. In fact, I wanted to ask you about that before I go back. So let's go back to 1984. You were, and for those of you who weren't there, even I knew then, you were like huge. You were like in the cover of Tiger Beat. For our younger listeners, Tiger Beat was something that was called a magazine.
Yes, that's what you start. They had these shiny kind of babies.
Yeah.
My funny, here's a story. Here's a good story. My son, my kids didn't sort of know that Daddy's not like all the other dads kind of thing when they were younger. Till he found at age, I think it was 4 or 6, a bin that my mother kept with every single Tiger Beat, 16, Teen Bop, Baby Bop, whatever. He comes running in the house with like fistfuls of these teen magazines to his older sister and says, Dad was huge and we missed it. That's amazing. And then you say like, Dad, what do you mean? You were the Karate Kid just like Jaden Smith? No, not quite. That hadn't happened.
Well, see, that's a cute story and all, right, Ralph? But I got something I need to express to you, bro. Go ahead. Like, you're woven into the fabric of my formative years. Like, you're a hero back in the day. I gotta tell you, bro, that crane kick don't work in real life. Yo, I'm gonna tell you, y'all should have put a disclaimer at the beginning and the end of the film because Jason Taylor and Cobb Middle School kicked my ass when I was trying to do that crane kick. Jason Taylor didn't care nothing about no crane kick. He no wax on, he waxed me. That's what he
You just needed a human Yoda like my character had to help. Yeah.
No, I needed somebody to yell cut before.
All right. I got one more question for you before we play the game, which is that among many other privileges of being a kid, you had one of the great training montage songs of all time written for you. You're the best around, right? Mm-hmm. And do you is that like, do you ever like use that when you're out for a jog because it's yours? Whenever you're feeling a little down, you got to get that burst of energy just to like play that thing.
I will say this much, in full disclosure, this could be the first time I'm saying it out loud in front of 500 of my best friends that I can't see. In recent times, on the Long Island Expressway, when I am cooking, it's like 80 miles. I'm cranking that mofo, and I'm just pretty cool.
I love it. Can you imagine? Imagine pulling up next to Ralph Macchio. And you hear the song, and you turn your head, and there's Ralph Macchio, like banging on the steering wheel, singing along, dunking it out. Oh, man.
But you know, when I have to do it, I gotta tell you guys when I'm driving the
Please. No, you gotta do the thing. Yeah, put their phone and film themselves from the dashboard doing it. Just rock it out and do the best. Oh, that
one of these days. Maybe when Cobra Kai comes in for a landing, that'll be my victory.
That will be awesome. Well, Ralph, it is so great to talk to you, but we have asked you here to play a game we're calling Wax On, Wax Off. Your character learned karate, famously, by waxing Mr. Miyagi's cars, so we thought we'd ask about a different use for wax hair removal. Answering 2 to 3 questions about the job, you just really called an esthetician. We'll win our prize for one of our listeners. Bill, who is Ralph Macchio? Ryan Hill of Orlando, Florida. All right. Here is your first question. One of the most memorable waxings ever, of course, is Steve Carell's chest waxing scene in the movie The 40-Year-Old Virgin. The scene had a visceral impact on viewers. How did they make it so realistic? A, they applied mild electric shock to Carell every time they pulled off the fake hair. B, every time the waxer pulled off the fake's hair,
What's you doing, bud?
the sound of Velcro being pulled apart. Or C, it wasn't fake hair. They really ripped Steve Carell's chest hair on camera. The audience
feels like it's B.
No. The audience feels like it's C.
Yeah, I feel like it's C too, because I think I heard Carell tell the story.
It is good.
Hey, baby.
They did it for real. If you want to take, because you can't wait to go there.
Dude, why does your mouth smell like shit? Why does your breath stink? Get off of me. Come on.
A, giving a bikini wax to a real crocodile. B, wearing used wax strips like a beard. Or C, waxing the feet of a hobbit. People are shouting C again, but this time I think they're just messing.
I think it's gonna be. I think it's B.
I think it's B. You think wearing the used wax strips like a beard? No, actually it was A. He had pictured himself waxing an actual crocodile, which we did not know had body hair.
But you said bikini wax a crocodile.
Yeah, they don't have crutches.
They don't have bikinis.
Yes, but crocodiles all wear one pieces. We all know that.
You show me one. You bring me one crocodile bikini, and I'll
believe. All right. Well, nonetheless.
Another side of thick toasted bread slices and a salad. She pulled up a small table and set the platter down in front of
A
Tubby.
little leather sheath I made.
Almost brought tears to his eyes. Sasha said, I had to warm the roast and potatoes in the microwave. Sorry about that. Hope it's all right, Sharon. Tully nodded and dug in. When he had finished
little
devouring
belt
every
loop.
last morsel, he ran a finger across the empty plate and licked it off. The only bit of gravy he had missed.
And he just dyed again. You can see the little strip I put in it, but
I hope you didn't get splattered, he said.
fits pretty well.
But that's the best meal
Because of the
I've eaten in
curve,
my
I
entire
couldn't sew it
life.
up top.
Maggie grinned.
I need to figure out a
so
different
glad we could be
design than
of
that.
service. Tully smiled at her. Thanks for being so attentive to my eating, Maggie.
Sides ain't always
You're welcome, Bo.
There it goes.
Even if you are a smart aleck. Tully stood up and
All right,
pulled
bud.
over the nearest chair for Sasha. She sat, smoothing her stained white slacks as she did so. Sorry for the way I looked, Sheriff. I was about to take a shower, but didn't think you'd want to wait until I got spiffed up. You look great to me, he said, sitting back down. You call me Bo. Everybody around here does. Maggie said, I'll leave you two to your discussion. I've got some work I better take care of. Tully thanked her, and she walked back toward the office. Sasha said. Well, Sheriff, what can I do for you? He cleared his throat.
First, I want to mention how impressed I was that your cook was able to imitate the taste of venison so perfectly with those slices of roast beef you served me.
She smiled. I guess maybe it's all part of the art of cooking. Actually, Sheriff, it was the final bit of the very last deer I will ever shoot in my life. And I shot it early in the season, in case you were wondering.
Your last deer? Why is that?
Because I've given up killing things. Something happened a while back that made it occur to me that all life wants to live. It doesn't make any difference what form the life takes. Something the size of an elephant, or of a tiny red spider, or a person. It all wants to live. A tiny red spider. Sorry. Yeah.
Alright, so I'm going to use a cool little tool here. Call it the jaws of life. It's not the actual jaws of life, but
I could see their eyes, and I hate spiders.
yeah.
When they saw I was
Has a little
watching them, they
saw
all
that
rushed
comes.
under a sheet of paper next to my computer. Then they gathered in a little red line and stood there staring out at me from under the sheet of paper, apparently thinking they were hidden. I was about to thump my thumb up and down on top of the paper and squish them, when it occurred to me that even life in the form and size of a tiny spider wants to live. So right then and there, I made up my mind never to kill anything again. Tully smiled.
But Maggie told me you loved to fish.
I did, Sheriff, but I don't anymore. You know why a fish fights so hard when it's hooked?
Actually, Sasha, I haven't thought that much about it.
It's because the fish feels helpless and is terrified by the unknown force pulling against it. The fish doesn't want to die.
Tully sighed. Well, there you go, Sasha. You just ruined fishing for me. Fortunately, fly fishing is finished around here until spring, and I should be over this conversation by then. She laughed.
I didn't mean to ruin fishing for you, Sheriff. It's just a silly idea of mine. I go through periods of being weird, but I usually get over it.
Tully stood up to go. Well, I've enjoyed our conversation.
let's move you a little closer to the action here. No. Please do not take it. Please. Look at your bone. Look at your bone, buddy. Getting a nice little pile together. Good boy. What do you have?
He went to the bedroom, took off his clothes, and shivered, put on a sweatsuit, and most nights afterwards, strolled around the studio, checking out paintings preparing the stage for completion. The studio
Hear how that wood's snapping? That's what you want when you're starting a fire. You want some nice dry stuff. Super dry. Good boy. Gunner, please don't do that. Gunner. Please don't do that. Good boy. Hey, don't do that. No, Gunner. Gunner. You can have one. Come on. Ready? Watch, he'll come back and get a different stick. Silly dog. I don't mind, but he just makes a mess of it. If you'd take a stick and actually chew on it, that's fine. I don't care. But he just makes a mess in my palm. That's fine.
Certainly not, Daisy said, shaking her head.
Yeah, right, Tully growled. Well, come on in, Augie, and I'll give you the lowdown. Finn winked at Daisy, got up, and followed Tully into his office, closing the door behind him. He pulled up a chair to Tully's desk, sat down, cleared a little space on the desk, and placed his yellow pad on it.
Not often I get a murder to write about, Bo. Mostly it's babies that just got born and grandmothers visiting from out of town.
Tully almost smiled. He couldn't help but like the guy. He was one of the funniest people Tully knew.
No.
He was also a towering intellect, at least compared with most of the residents of Blight County.
No.
Tully sometimes wondered why the little man wasn't reporting for the Washington Post or the New York Times. He was perfectly capable of doing so. Instead, he had settled into the little town of Silvertip, Idaho, and become not only its leading intellect, but also its most prominent citizen, and a first-rate journalist to boot. The latter included a constant probing of law enforcement for any signs of corruption or incompetence. So far, he had found none. As Tully had once told him, it was too bad he hadn't been around when Pap Tully was sheriff. He would have thought he was in heaven, and Pap probably would have been in prison. Tully leaned back in his swivel chair, folded his hands on his belly, and said, "Well, Augie, did your source in the other room fill you in on all the details of our recent crime?"
What source is that, Bo? You mean Daisy? Why, she never gives me the tiniest tidbit about what goes on here.
Yeah, right. So what do you want to know about our murder? Tully filled him in on all the details, the few he knew. The editor thanked him and got up to go. "By the way, Augie, how did your pictures turn out?"
"Great as always. I'm running 3 in next week's paper. I can give you a set of all the prints if you want them."
"I would love a set of prints. You never know whether there might be something in one of them that solves our murder. Oh, by the way, Augie, did you talk to Brian and Buck when you were up in Pine Flats investigating the robbery?"
"As a matter of fact, I did. We had coffee together at the cafe. The suspects in the crime had fled the scene, but I did get a lead on where they might be hiding out."
"And where is that?"
Sorry, Bo, I can't reveal facts in my story until they're published, but I did speak to an eyewitness of the so-called crime.
Daisy stuck her head in the door. Oh, Bo, you just missed an important call. He stared at her. I can't even imagine a phone call important enough I would want to get it. Well, you'll want to get this one. It was from your agent in Spokane. She was all excited. Tully leapt up from his chair. Jean Runyon called? Yes. And she was excited? Yes. I've never known Jean to get excited about anything but money. Maybe I should call her back. Daisy shook her head in exasperation. If you don't do it this minute and tell me what she wanted, I will have to kill you.
Augie said, I'd better leave and let you make your phone call, Bo. You can check with me later about the eyewitness up at Pine Flats. I don't think anybody else knows about her. Oh, and I'll also want to know the details about this phone call from your agent.
He got up and left. Tully sat back down and dialed Jean Runyon's gallery number in Spokane.
So I forged knives on the side. This is one of the knives that I forged. Originally started its life as a chef's knife. Works great. It's a little thick though for a chef's knife. But tell you what, I brought it out here. Has like a multi-tool. And works pretty well. Let's watch this. See, I mean, it just shaves this stuff so easily. It's very sharp. Just does it with ease. And then I can go with, I had a club. I need to make me a little club so I can hit this other side. Get that guy. Back gunner, back gunner. Okay, now you got a little club. This is how you make your smaller stuff, because this is dry, very dry. It's been curing for a very long time. I need my little butt pads. Bristol, baby. Oh, much better. Ground's still a little wet. Chop, buddy. Actually, the ground's still very wet. Yeah, I'm not a professional, so what you see me do is not the right thing to do, for sure. So, I'm just out here having a good time, trying to make a little content at the same time. Just when you're out here alone, well, I'm not alone technically, I have a dog with me, but you know, it kind of makes it a little bit more fun. It's like you're actually camping with someone. Some of this footage will be on my new GoPro that I just got. Happy holidays, by the way. Just a nice little pile here. And then really dry. So I'll take this, take some of these pieces here, and I'll show you how to get your real dry stuff. Small little pieces. Because what we're going to want to do, shave them down. I'll probably end up shaving them onto my this little knee pad here. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep splitting this down until I have nothing left. Except now my clubs are either this giant one or a really tiny one. Come here, bub. Gunner. Good boy. Good boy. Did you go swimming? Did you go swimming? We're gonna have a good fire tonight, bud. Last time it had just rained the day of our camping trip, and There's snow on the ground and wasn't really any dry wood around. All this dry stuff is actually from the last time I was here. I was smart enough to set it to the side. And yeah, I'm glad I did. So, now, I'm just going to take this and kind of shave it down. You want to do a very slight angle on your blade. Axe blade, machete, blade doesn't really matter. This one's actually a little long, but this actually has a big knot in it. I'm not going to use this piece. Let's see if this does any better. Oh yeah, there's a big knot there in that other one. Hey, buddy. Stay over here, buddy. So your first size of sticks when you're starting a fire, you want to be little shavings like this. So I actually have some really dry tinder. I actually use cotton. You can use a cigarette butt pretty much anywhere you are around the world. You can find a cigarette butt, which sucks, but you just cut one of those open to where you get the filter, kind of cut it open and fluff up that filter part, and all that is cotton on the inside of there with all these chemicals in it that actually make it very, very flammable. Alright, I won't bore you with any more of this, but yeah, so you just take that, your next size up is going to be about this size, about pencil lead size. About like that. Okay, so we'll get us a nice little pile that size. So once that cotton catches, you put that on, and then once that starts to catch, you put this on, and then we'll get the next size up from that, which will be about the diameter of a pencil. Maybe a little bit bigger, because those are about the diameter of a pencil. So after that, we'll actually probably just throw this stuff on, stuff that I already got split. So anyway, this is how you make a fire from flint steel. So thanks.
Pap. One of us has to stay here in the bow and be captain to figure out how to get where we're going. So follow my directions. The old man muttered something under his breath and pulled back hard on the oar. Pull harder, Pap. We're missing the island. Tully stood up and stared off toward the middle of the island as they swept on by. I can't even see the circle from here. Maybe you'll have to float over it in a balloon, because I ain't fighting this current in the drift boat again. Try to make it back to shore. Otherwise, we'll have to shoot the Narrows and take out down at Henry's Landing. You ever shoot those rapids? Only in my worst nightmares. Never occurred to me I'd ever be stupid enough to shoot them when I was awake. Minutes later, they were swept into the mouth of the Narrows. Halfway through, they climbed a wall of water so steep the drift boat kept slipping back down. Tully stretched out over the bow as far as he could and jammed an oar down into the boiling current. Instantly, they were pulled over the crest and plunged into a deep, dark, watery hole. The roaring was so intense, both Tully and Pap were hoarse for days afterward. When they finally popped out of the Narrows, Pap somehow managed to maneuver the drift boat onto the takeout ramp at Henry's Landing. Then he called his girlfriend on the cell phone, asking her to drive over to the river, retrieve his truck and boat trailer, and bring them down to Henry's Landing. Tully asked, "You recovered from the Narrows yet, Pap?" The old man seemed to turn the question over in his mind. "All I can say, Bo, those rapids would make a fine cure for constipation." "Worked for me," Tully said. Pap stared at him. "You better be kidding. Otherwise, you ain't riding back in my truck." "Yeah, I'm kidding. But just barely." Back at Pap's place, Tully got into his Explorer and drove to the office. The whole staff seemed busy. Even Herb Elliott, his undersheriff, whose chief talent was avoiding work and anything that might put him in the way of it. Daisy was typing up a form of some kind, and Lurch was hunched over his computer. Tully looked around and said, "So you all heard me coming down the hallway. One of these days I'm gonna switch from boots to shoes and catch you in your normal state of fun and games." "No way, boss," Daisy said. "We were all buried in work, just like always." "Ah," Tully said. "Lurch, get your butt over to my office. I want to know what you found out about our murder." Lurch strolled over, shut the office door behind him, and flopped into a chair. "You catching a cold, boss? You sound hoarse." Tully stared at him. "No, just the strain of the job." "So what have you found out about Fester's murder?" "The same thing I told you up at the crime scene. The pickup tracks on the skid trail showed that one vehicle had driven in a short ways and then backed out. The tracks indicated it was a 3/4 ton and probably a 4-wheel drive.
Alright.
Which is what most pickups that size
So use a little piece of cotton there in the center.
That's the other treads.
Got all kinds of dry stuff around it.
Just been turning around.
Let me get my
The
ferro
snow and
rod.
rubber tire tracks, the ones that went in 30
Got
yards
this
or so,
cool little thing
indicates they were made
to
the
blow
same
on
time as the new snow started.
the
when
fire.
Fester was shot.
Leave
It
that
was Pap who pointed
here
that
to
out
the
to me.
side.
I found size 6 or maybe size 8 boot tracks in the woods that appear to have been made at the same time the victim was killed. I got a good cast of one of those, and if we ever find a pair of boots belonging to a suspect, we might get a match. Finally, I checked the pickup trucks at the Fester Ranch, and the one with the silver ticket wanted me to check and didn't get a match. Tully leaned forward and rested his arms on the desk. "I'm glad to hear that about Silvertip. I was worried Sasha might somehow be involved in this, mostly because of her fascination with birds, eagles in particular. Fester used to tease her about how he loved killing eagles." "So you didn't find any treads on the pickups at Fester's Ranch that matched the tracks on the skid trail?" "Nothing. I checked every pickup there, and Jeff Sheridan said all the hands were at the ranch at the time, and so were their pickups. He could have been lying, of course. He was flying down to the ranch in Mexico the next day." "Really? Maybe he's meeting up with Harry Fester. They should be flying back to the funeral. Who's in charge up here?" "A young guy by the name of Riggins. We may have trouble with him if we need to check the ranch for anything more. Oh, he did tell me one pickup from the ranch was missing. He said Mrs. Fester probably drove it to Cabo. I don't know why he told me that, but he did."
Anyway, that would explain why there's no airline record of a Mrs. Fester having flown down there by plane.
Wiggins, Kelly said.
We'll leave him to me, Lurch. How about the pickup some by the ranch? Jeff said they were all there, including the great Fester drove.
Tully sighed and leaned back in his chair.
So where does that leave us now, as to who shot more?
Lurch shook his head.
I don't know. I measured the distance from where the tracks out of the woods stopped to where we found Fester's body. It was almost exactly 20 yards. I figure an arrow traveling that far wouldn't lose much force before hitting the target. So it seems to me we would be looking for a ball with at least a 40-pound pull. Pretty good, Lurch. That's about what I figured.
Chapter 14. Daisy walked into his office and sat down across the desk from him. She was studying her stenography pad. You want to hear what's been going on here at the sheriff's office, Bo?
Not really, but shoot.
You got a call from your fortune teller. She says it's very important that you see her as soon as possible. Apparently, your life is in danger again. So Etta was back in town.
Etta Gorsuch was very attractive, except for being a fortune teller and a few years older than Tully. She mention any particulars about my life being in danger?
No, I think she was withholding those in hope of getting you over to that creepy place of hers as soon as possible. You have to remember, Daisy, that Etta has always been right on in the past about persons intent on killing me. Bo, you always have persons intent on killing you. I could predict that, and I'm not even a psychic. I know, but some persons are more intent on killing me than others. I'll drop in on her after lunch. Speaking of lunch, how would you like to grab a bite over at Crab's? Sounds like fun. Can we drink? Only a glass of wine each. We'll be working, you know. Aren't we always? There's something I've been meaning to ask you. I keep forgetting what it is. You probably want the rap sheet on some criminal. Maybe, Tully said. Oh, I know something. Get me Hank Schmidt on the phone. He's the boss up at Pine Flat Sawmill. You know the number? No, I'll look it up. I haven't needed a board in years. Daisy went back to her desk, shutting his door a little louder than necessary, he thought. That's what he got for being too friendly with the help. Not to mention having had an affair with this one in particular. Bad. Bad. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. A woman answered. Hi, Etta. It's Bo. I was tickled pink to hear you're back in town. Oh, Bo, it's so good to hear your voice. As usual, I've been sensing some sort of violence hovering around me. You know that's part of my job, sweetheart. Don't pay any attention to it. I'll swing by after work. Seems as if you've been gone practically forever this time. That's so nice of you to say, Bo. It's only been a couple of months. I have to make a living, you know. I'm pretty sure you're independently wealthy by now, Etta, with all those giants of industry you have as clients back east. Oh, they're not giants by any measure, Bo. They're simply older little boys and girls in need of some psychic reinforcement. Some of the boys are gray and bald and a bit overweight, but they still need someone to lean on from time to time. How about the little girls? They're all trim and fit and pretty and a bit flinty about the eyes. I can soften them up, though. Everybody needs somebody, and I try to be that somebody. I'm sure they need all the help you give them, Etta. As a matter of fact, I could use a little of that myself. Daisy stuck her head in the door. As soon as you're done with your fortune teller, Hank Schmidt is online too. He nodded at her, then said into the phone, Gotta run, Etta. Crime waits for no one. Just be careful, Bo. I will. Even though he didn't believe in fortune telling, Etta had a way of setting his nerves on edge. He punched line 2. Hank, thanks for getting back to me. I just wanted to check on our 3 young criminals. They're doing great, Bo. Oh, their first few days on the green chain, I wasn't sure they were going to make it, but they hung in there. Now they're hardening up muscles they never knew they had. Great, Hank. I've been worried about them. Might have dropped dead pulling off the green chain. Yeah,
After the boys showed up for work the first few days, we had to check them for signs of life every so often. But now they're settling in and working hard. It doesn't hurt that I'm paying them $20 an hour either.
All right, and that's
I
how you
don't
make a
think one of them
fire
has ever
from
had
flint
this
and
much
steel.
money before. Guinevere and themselves, they're too tired at the end of the day to go out and spend any of it.
That will
Matter of fact, I don't
get
think
going
they'll
here in a little bit.
They work too hard for every dime. Do you have any more criminals you'd like to see?
All right,
You should
we are
warn a
cooking
person before
dinner.
you do something like that. They don't teach you hawk screeches at the FBI Academy? I don't know. Maybe it's one of the skills offered at the end of a cooking language.
Alright. Okay. We're cooking dinner. We got the water about to boil here.
Figure things out for themselves without always looking at me to solve the crime.
Okay.
I bet.
We'll cook up the steak there.
Anyway, Lurch called and wants you to call him in Mexico. Here's his number.
Kelly called the number. The unit answered on the first ring. Yeah, boss. How'd you know it was me, Lurch? Because nobody else in the entire world would call me here. Where are you? I'm in one of the guest rooms at Fester's Mexican Ranch. The ranch has a new owner, an Australian. An Australian? How come an Australian would buy a ranch in Mexico? He said it's because he suspects the ranch is sitting on an ocean of oil. His name is Barnaby O'Connor, and he already owns a cattle ranch in Australia. He's only been over here a month and already speaks English as good as I do. Wow, only a month. So what's the word on Mrs. Fester? Well, according to Barnaby, she and Jeff got married here on the ranch and then took off on a flight to Australia. They're going to spend some time on Barnaby's ranch.
See if you can find out their flight number, when it left, and where and when it lands.
I will, boss. Maybe Barnaby knows. He set up the whole wedding for them and invited all the folks in the village near here. It was quite a shindig. I bet.
Okay.
Oh, and
so
about a minor detail. Did you check the tread on Hillary's pickup? Yeah, I did.
it's about to boil. This
I took off the top of the tread that matches our mold.
this little oven heats up really quickly.
Barnaby said it was okay with him.
So
Good.
leave that there.
They're essential for a case against Mrs. Fester and probably Sheridan. They place Hillary at the scene of the crime and probably Sheridan too. Do you have a department credit card with you?
No.
Well, like we discussed, as soon as you get some dollars, get yourself a modest motel for the night and head out to White City early in the morning. Drop the rental off where you got it in Tucson, and you and Pap drive the Fester pickup back to White.
Got it, boss. We'll be home in a couple of days.
Get
No
back
hurry,
here,
Murphy.
please.
How's Pap doing?
Oh, he's been having a great time. Out all night, favoring the local cantinas and their senoritas. I'm sure he'll love staying over another night in the valley.
I'm sure he will. Give you both a chance to get some of the real flavor of Mexico. Find a first-class restaurant and order some good meals on the department, particularly if you happen to meet some pretty senoritas. You two deserve it.
You feeling all right, boss?
Yeah, I am. Once you're done entertaining yourselves, get your butts back to Blight City as fast as you can, even if you have to drive day and night.
You? Now you're starting to sound like the boss I know. Well, at least Pap and I get one more night for a wild swing in a great Mexican town.
That's okay. Just make sure you get a motel on the poorer side of town. The department isn't paying for some extravagant Mexican hotel just so you and Pap can put on a show of being high rollers for the local female population. Chapter 30. And you, cried Lester Klein, the head waiter at Crab's.
I heard you were back in town. Some of the other agents have been eating here too.
And you smiled. I know, Lester. I recommend Crab's to all of them as the best restaurant in all of Idaho.
We appreciate the recommendation very much. Let me share you to the table as we preserve it exclusively for you and Bo. And for the other people who actually share color sauce.
As usual, they both chose the luncheon special, the steak salad. Tully added a bottle of the white Susan Bar. After Lester left with their order, Tully said,
So, how's your case going with our corrupt lawyers and judges? Not too badly. So far, we've tied secret bank accounts to one lawyer. A fairly large portion of the cash was withdrawn at the same time Judge McCracken made a major judgment in favor of the lawyer's client. What do you think, Paul? Sounds about right. It appears McCracken had found a number of cases in favor of that lawyer, despite the fact that the lawyer appears to be an idiot. An idiot? How's that? He bought 2 very expensive cars for himself and his wife. Not to mention, he sold his small ranch and bought a house in the $1 million range. He throws money around like confetti at local nightclubs and keeps women on the side in luxurious cabs. Judge McCracken isn't doing that badly either. Sully munched a forkful of salad while he thought about this. You happen to know of any openings in the Blight County law business? Not right at the moment, but I suspect there may be some soon. It seems as if Blight County is moving into the big time, at least as far as crime is concerned. Sully munched another forkful of salad. Well, at last a sign of progress. Up to now, I've had to deal only with stuff like stolen chainsaws, that sort of thing. I want you to know I've come down pretty hard on anyone engaged in chainsaw theft. And he smiled. Yes, I know. How about crooked lawyers? Sully thought about this. I guess I'd have to empty out the cells of all our deserving criminals and fill them back up with lawyers. Plan on making any bucks soon? Yeah, but we'll probably ship them to Boise, at least for starters. Chapter 31. When Kelly got back to the office, his father was sitting in the briefing room talking to Daisy. Pat, what are you doing here? The old man stood up. He was still lean as a post, 6 feet tall, and with a deception half-full glow over his eyes, as sinister as ever. Kelly didn't even want to think about the number of men half as killed in his chair, nor the number of chaos he expected to turn loose sacred parties, particularly the owner of the gambling establishment. He still kept himself with broad questions of the underworld. Come on in my office, Pat. Daisy has work to do. He said, Daisy was enjoying your father's intelligent conversation. Not often I hear intelligent conversation around here. Pat laughed and followed Kelly into his office, pulled out a chair, and sat down. The old place hasn't changed much since I was there. A little less blood splatter on the walls, Kelly said. So you're back in town flirting with my secretary. I can't help myself, Pat said. I just love all the pretty women. Kelly smiled. My sweet dear was like a roast from Mexico. Well,
This thing's still kind of frozen in the center.
You got any leads
So,
with more units? Only that you were noticing
down real quick.
They got married on the ranch down there. Might have headed for Australia on their honeymoon, if they're not already there. Pat shook his head. I'd hate for you to arrest them for the Fester murder, Bo. Well, there's the evidence you and Murph turned up, the tire that matched the shed at the crime scene. That's what makes them our prime suspects. The fact they got married makes a great motive. Your tracking skills put them at the scene and time of the murder. Now that we've got the tire back here, the case will be pretty much well closed. Where is the tire, by the way? That's what I came up here to tell you, Pat said. While Lick and me was partying in the Dallas, somebody stole the tire from the bed of the pickup. Kelly sat for a long while without speaking. Finally, Pat said, I don't know what to tell you, Bo. It just never occurred to me anyone would steal an old used tire out of the bed of a pickup. But it was your idea we put it there. Kelly leaned back in his chair and slapped his knuckles. True, it was my idea. I thought it was pretty dumb at the time, but didn't want to say anything. Yeah, you didn't think I'd know better. Oh, you knew what you were doing, Bo, his father said. But don't get too upset about it. It's something I would have done myself if I thought of it. I expect it's just the Blight way. Dumb stuff like that. Kelly nodded. I suppose it is. Hard to imagine a soft-hearted fellow like Fester shooting you guys there. Do you think maybe his wife killed him because she knew he was doing just that? Maybe he even tormented her by bragging about it. He was a great lover of wildlife, especially birds over there. Yeah, Pat said. I think either Hillary or Jeff Sheridan's new husband did him in. But there are other suspects out there. He fooled around with a lot of women, and it's possible one of their husbands or boyfriends got upset with him. Terry thought about this. It was a really weird side to this case, Pat. I thought the whole thing was weird. How about this, then? The flexing on the arrow that killed Chester was made of eagle feathers. Eagle feathers? It's illegal even to possess one eagle feather. Yeah. Killing people with them is a bad one, too. That's the thing. It depends on the person. I'd rather kill a person than an eagle. Daisy stuck her head in the door. Pat, this came in the mail today. I thought it might be of interest to both you and Pat. It's from Ed's Archery. She handed him an envelope. He'd already sliced it open and stuffed it with something. Good, Terry said. Maybe we'll at least get some leads. He pulled out a note and read it aloud, with Daisy standing in the office door. Dear Sheriff Cullen, as I mentioned to you when we stopped by Ed's Archery the other day, we don't keep track of what our customers buy, but we do keep a list of their names and addresses, so we can send them news of different promotions and sales we may have. If we were to go through thousands of copies of sales receipts, we could probably come up with what each person bought, but it would be enormously time-consuming unless you have a person on your staff who could handle that store. She glanced up at Daisy. She shook her head. This person isn't handling that store. Terry read down through the list. Oh, this is interesting. Mrs. Morgan Chester was a customer of Ed's Archery. I think I see she bought that green target I saw hanging on the side of a frosted barn. She has more names of Ed's Archery customers who live in Drake County. Ann Higgins, Mrs. Wallace Smith, Mrs. Coxford, Bill Selfridge, and Jason Brown. Any of those ring a bell, Pat? Only one of them interest. Ray Dawson. He's a pretty tough dude. Johnson Town back in our store. I don't recollect that store. Maybe it was not that Charlie. Oh, yeah. Yeah, as I recall, maybe it was a misdemeanor back then. I have to admit, we didn't get too worked up about it. But here's something maybe of interest to you both. And that is, Ray had a very pretty wife. He got to fooling around with some guy and Ray beat her up. So she up and divorced him, took most of his money, but the rest. Knowing what was good for her, she took off to somewhere. Disappeared anyway. Maybe Ray had something to do with it. Do you happen to know the fellow she was fooling around with? Can't guess the guess. It's been a while, though, since I hung out with that crowd. But I'll tell you who might know. And that is a big biker by the name of Miss Morgan. I know Miss. She heads up the biggest motorcycle gang in town. That's the only motorcycle gang in town. She's not someone you want to mess with, no. Tell you what. You're right. Mitch knows just about everything that goes on in Slade and elsewhere around the world, too, I imagine. I suspect the gang is responsible for half the crime in Blake County. Pop said, I don't think Pop says the gang is up to. Anyway, Mitch might know something about what happened to Ray Eden. More important, Ray's wife. Don't matter. Good idea, Pat. I'll stop by Slade and see if I can find that sexy bucket. I got it changing for someone. You can be awfully persuasive, though. Pat, you know I would never treat anyone else. She went on reading out loud from the Ed's Archery.
Alright, it's done.
I'm sending you a list
Let it
of
rest for a little bit. I did forget a plate, so probably just want to use the lid.
After work that evening, Tully pulled up and parked half a block.
Let that rest for a little bit.
He would have parked closer, but motorcycles
Got these cool titanium spoons.
He got out and lumbered down the
I
sidewalk.
need to heat treat that one, make it purple color, blue, whatever. So,
in other words,
anyway, we got dinner done.
even though it was still early. Slade was booming.
Got potatoes.
After oozing out onto the street, harsh language blowing above it. A typical evening at Slade.
And
Two
a
motorcycles.
gunner that is very tired. He has been running around all day. Look at us.
The noise
Bless his heart. He's so sweet.
Out the open door. Tully shouldered his way through. As usual when he put in.
Alright, bud.
The pattern suddenly
You ready
went
to
silent,
eat?
and then, bit by bit, began to pick up.
Let's eat.
He looked around the room and found Nick seated at the bar. Mildred turned and dashed off. Tully said, "Well, Judge, I'll probably have a lot more time in the future to drop by. I'm retiring as sheriff of Blight County." "Retiring? You can't do that, Bo. What will the county do without you?" "I think it will do fine. I'm recommending Brian Pugh as my replacement. You know Brian, Judge. He'll make an excellent sheriff." The judge nodded. "Yes, I know Brian, and I'm sure he'll do fine. But what terrible thing has happened that makes you want to retire?" Tully leaned forward in the chair and put his hands on his knees. "Well, it's this way, Judge. I suddenly found myself making distinctions between bad guys who kill good guys and good guys who kill bad guys, if you get my drift." The judge was quiet for a long moment, his brow furrowed. Then he nodded slightly and said, "Yes, I know the feeling well." Mildred came into the room with a tray containing 3 martinis and a pitcher half full of them. The judge said, "Just in time with the martinis, Mill. Bo is hanging up his badge." Mildred almost dropped her tray, causing Tully's heart to miss a beat. She steadied herself.
Bo, I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
"I feel the same way," the judge said. "Bo, I can certainly understand you wanting to get away from the crime scene, but what will you do?" Mildred handed Tully his martini. He took a sip and smiled at her. She smiled back. They both knew she had raided the judge's secret stash. The judge said, "I don't blame you for wanting to get away from the gritty business of being sheriff. But don't you think you might miss it?" "That's something I wanted to run by you, Judge. The truth is, I would miss it. So I've been thinking about opening my own private detective agency. That way I could pick and choose my own crimes to solve, rather than just any that come along.
I swear
Might
when you're
even
out
do some work for
camping,
the FBI.
and
I have some contacts there and
either
went
cook
through
a
the
meal
training
over an open
program for
fire,
sheriffs
even
and police
just using
officers.
the propane stove.
Also, when I was a
It's just
college
something
student, I
about
took a semester course at
being
Washington
outside.
State University in arson. The lady who ran it was one of the
food just
leading
tastes
arson
better.
experts in the world, and
I
it was
swear.
fascinating. I thought I might make that my specialty. Maybe I'd travel all over the United States solving arson cases. I might even go back to college for a semester and brush up on some of the chemical aspects of it. The judge sipped his drink and thought about this for
He
a
had
moment.
some steak
You
and
know, Bo,
potatoes.
that's not a bad idea, setting up your own private detective agency.
So,
Mildred
he
broke
should
in.
be nice and full.
But, Bo, I heard you just made a major sale of one of your paintings and now wanted to paint full time.
It's this way, Mill. I love painting. But you get tired of doing the same thing day in, day out, so I thought maybe I would mix in a little gumshoeing. Also, I have this lady I promised to drive up the whole length of Idaho on a sightseeing adventure. I figured I could take along a camera and get a lot of pictures to use in my paintings. The lady has given me a lot of warnings over the years that have turned out to be right on the money. So I owe her this trip.
A lady, Mildred yelped. Bo, don't you think that's...
She didn't finish her sentence. The judge laughed. He's referring to his fortune teller, Mill. I think you may have consulted Etta Gorsuch from time to time yourself.
Oh my, Etta, my goodness, yes, she's wonderful. But, Bo, she must be at least 70 years old.
Not too old to enjoy the scenery of North Idaho. I'll wait until spring, though, when the snow is off and the new growth is coming on. I may even show her how to find morel mushrooms out in the woods. Etta's
Alright.
usually right on the money when
Let's
it comes
clean
to
up.
predicting things, the judge said. He reached over and tapped Tully on the knee.
Now there's something I'd like you to show Mill and me, how to find morels. Occasionally, one of our outdoorsy lawyers will make us a gift of a few trying to bribe me. And for morels, I let 'em. But I'd like Mill and me to learn how to find our own. Lawyers are simply too stingy. Tully nodded. I feel the same way, Judge. I never have enough time myself to go after morels in the brief period they come out, not to mention fall mushrooms like shaggy manes. Anyway, Judge, I'm not exactly sure how an elected official resigns from his job. The judge frowned as he thought about this. Tully finished off his martini. Mildred raised a questioning eyebrow and held up her pitcher, but he covered the top of his glass with his hand. After a moment, the judge said, "We don't often have an elected official resign. In fact, I can't remember a single one. Most of them die in office. But that seems a bit extreme in your case. I think all you have to do is write the Board of County Commissioners a letter telling them you're resigning your office on such and such a date and for them to arrange an election for your replacement. As I told you, I'm going to recommend Brian for the job. He's the best guy I've got, and they're all good." The judge nodded. "I'd be happy to recommend Q." Mildred asked, "So, Bo, when do you plan to resign?" "I'm handing in my letter of resignation to the secretary first thing tomorrow. No telling how long it will take for them to act on it, but I'll be done with the job as soon as the new sheriff takes over." Chapter 34. Tully paid particular attention to the clocking of his $3,000 boots as he walked for possibly the last time down the marble-chipped floor of the courthouse toward the office. It was a sound he would definitely miss. Each clock seemed to echo with authority in the hallway. As usual, there was a little group of uniformed gossipers crowded around Daisy's desk. "Ah," he said. "How convenient to have you all assembled here, because I have an announcement to make." They turned and stared at him. He had never before made an announcement. "My announcement is this. I have just told Judge Patterson that I am resigning as sheriff." The group sucked in its collective breath. He went on. "As soon as I turn in my letter of resignation to the Secretary of the Board of County Commissioners, I will be finished as sheriff of Blight County. No doubt one of you gentlemen gathered here in this hen and bull session will be appointed sheriff. I will miss all of you. But I am not sad to be leaving. I plan to settle down in the house on my little farm and grow all my own food, eat and cook with firewood I cut out of my own forest, and paint pictures whenever I feel like it. There's one picture in particular I'm looking forward to painting." "What picture is that, Bo?" the deputy asked. "The one of Daisy." Daisy gasped. "Of me, Bo? Why on earth would you paint a picture of me?" He wrinkled his brow and scratched his chin, as if trying to think of a reason. "Well, I guess because you're beautiful. Oh, and before I clean out my desk, I do have one last request." Daisy shook her head. "There's always one last request, isn't there, Sheriff?" "Yes, I suppose it must seem that way. But my very last request is this. Daisy, will you marry me?" She gasped. Then she threw herself into his arms and covered his face with kisses. "Can I take this as a yes?" he said. Late that afternoon, Tully decided he was about to drop dead of hunger and couldn't possibly make it home to fix his own dinner. He checked his watch. It was just about time for the jail kitchen to start feeding the prisoners. He stepped into the rickety elevator and went rattling down into the courthouse basement. 2 burly guards from the jail stood at the door to the kitchen. One of them, Carl Jaspers, greeted him. "How you doing tonight, Bo?" "To tell you the truth, Carl, I'm beat. Thought I'd join our prisoners for their nightly meal." "Good choice. I eat here every chance I get. It's something else. The chef, and that's what she is, a chef, not just one of your plain ordinary cooks, is a genius when it comes to food. She's transformed the simple fare of a county jail kitchen into a culinary triumph. Her name is Erin McManus.
She's been chefing some of the best restaurants in the Pacific Northwest, and here she is now, feeding the dregs of society. Seems a waste of her talents to throw them away on a bunch of criminals. Tully looked around the room. It was full of smiling, expectant faces. He guessed even criminals needed something to look forward to, even if only their meals. His gaze suddenly stopped on one particular diner. He straightened and strode menacingly toward the person, a pudgy man happily lifting a laden fork toward his mouth. It was August Finn, the editor and reporter from the Silvertip Miner. "Augie, what the devil are you doing here dining at the county's expense?" Startled, Augie peered up at him. "What do you mean, Bo? The county's expense? Aaron charges me $10 for dinner and $5 for each breakfast and lunch." "What? You eat 3 meals a day here, Augie?" "Of course not. Only as often as I can manage it. The county jail is the best place to eat in all of Blight City, maybe in all of Idaho. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write a feature on it." Tully pulled out a chair and sat down next to the reporter. A car thief Tully had arrested several months before came up and stood over them, a pad in his hand. He removed a pencil from behind his ear. "What would you like, Sheriff?" "Well, Barney, what are my choices?" "Coffee, tea, or milk. Otherwise, you get the specialty." "And that is?" "What Augie is eating." "In that case, I'll take the dinner special with coffee." "That will be $10, Sheriff." "You charge everybody $10, Barney?" "Nope, Sheriff. Us criminals eat for free. Only you and Augie and any stray citizen who wanders in has to pay." He pointed to a group of tan-dressed men sitting at a far table. "Even fish and game. They furnish the cafe with most of its protein." "Not roadkill, I hope." "Nah, never roadkill. They get all their game from poachers and turn it into the jail, along with the poachers. Several of the criminals here tonight are eating meat they poached themselves." The reporter had his pad out and was scribbling furiously in it. Tully shook his head in dismay. "Augie, if you run a feature in the Silvertip Miner that my jail is the best place in all of Idaho to eat, we'll be overrun with people wanting to eat here." "But they'll all have to pay, Bo. That will help the county finance the jail." Tully stared at the reporter. "You think the average citizen of Blight County will want to eat with criminals?" "Why not? Most of them already eat at home with criminals." "You have a point. Don't quote me, Augie, but this is the best meal I've had in ages. I noticed the chef manages to get the perfect flavor of venison in the meat." "Yeah, and there's another whole mystery for you, Bo. Sometimes she even manages the flavor of elk or moose." Tully dug in his pants pocket, dragged out a rumpled $10 bill, and handed it to the waiter. He watched Barney walk back toward the cashier and hand him something. Probably an old parking ticket, if he knew Barney as well as he was sure he did. That evening, driving down to his house, he glanced up at his woods. The trees were packed with eagles, their white top knots glowing like Christmas tree ornaments. He smiled and said, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will be safe here from now on. I catch anyone shooting at you, you can feast on this dead carcass for breakfast the next morning." He glanced out to the middle of his lower hayfield, and there, glowing in the middle of it, was a large, perfect circle drawn in the freshly fallen snow. No footprints led to or away from it. His foot hit the brake, and his Explorer skidded to a stop on the icy road. Now, at last, the mystery would be solved. He pulled on the handbrake, got out, and started wading through the snow down to the circle. When he came to it, he stepped carefully over the perfect line of the circumference, cut about an inch deep into the snow. He guessed the circle was more than 6 feet across. Then he waded over to the hole in the middle, where the point of the circle came up the top. He found it.
Let's see. How about a little shot half and half, right? Stuff is called Screwball. It's a peanut butter whiskey. It's very, very good. Cheers.